What's up, all you campus fanatics out there? Glad you could join us for another edition of Gridiron Gab Triple Option. Whether it's the TDs on and off the campus gridiron or the extra points during the recruiting wars, we'll gab about it. Let's start gabbing. Welcome back, you guys, and Happy New Year to you once again as we get ready for the New Year's Classic, which is the two big games that lead up to the national championship. And in this one, we will be talking about the matchup between the Texas Longhorns and the Washington Huskies. Now, this to me should not have been the matchup. As you guys know, I truly believe that the Washington Huskies were the number one seed and in all intents and purposes should have been playing either the Alabama Crimson Tide or the Florida State Seminoles, if you will. But either way, had they done it correctly, this would have been the correct matchup, number one versus number four, because Texas should have been the only one loss team allowed in here. But either way, let us get into the breakdown of this football game. I look at it from the standpoint that this is going to be a football game that is going to be predicated on which of these teams is going to be able to get over the rust. And many of you guys understand what the rust entails when you start talking about the layoff. Now, we've seen some schools, teams that have been able to shake off their rust and put in some really good performances during the bowl season, but these layoffs haven't been quite as significant as this one has been. Whereas you're looking at a team that has coming back pretty much intact. And both of them have had to change their identities throughout the year, whereas Texas was majority of Quinn Ewers' team. They became a running powerhouse, and as well as the Washington Huskies, who they were pretty much all season until the Oregon game. They were not a power running game, and all of a sudden, the Huskies in that game became something I would never, ever have projected in my entire existence, that they would change from a team that is truly on the arm, that relies on the left-handed arm of Michael Penix Jr. to run the football. And I can honestly tell you, it has been a lot of fun watching this. It has really been a pleasure watching this. And I can honestly tell you, it's been awesome to watch. And this Sugar Bowl is going to go down in history as one of the top 5, in my opinion. It's going to be tremendous. Probably going to keep me up late. But, let's go down and take a long look at the Texas Longhorns and the Washington Huskies. Now, for the most part, these teams are almost evenly matched. I will say that, in a sense, the Longhorns have a somewhat of an advantage when it comes to running backs. They have a star in their stable, and for the most part, I look at this team and I say, okay, they've got a large stable of running backs that are really good. And the question is whether or not this Washington defense is going to be able to withstand that push. As we all know, they were able to do that against Oregon. They were able to hold their own against that Oregon running game, that they like to go up tempo, up tempo, up tempo, because we all know about Jonathan Brooks, and we all know about C.J. Baxter, and we got to throw Quinn Ewers in there as well. And even though he doesn't run it often, he can. And as I said, when we flip the other side and we go to the Washington Huskies, of course the Texas Longhorns do have Xavier Worthy is their leading receiver. But outside of that, you've got just a bunch of names that are scattered. Adonai Mitchell, and as I said before, a lot of these backs that they have, and Brooks is also dangerous out of the backfield. But let's flip over, as I was about to allude to, whereas the Longhorns have an abundance of guys, as they have an abundance of guys in that backfield, they have an abundance of guys in the receiving room. Now, I will say this. I did predict Dylan Johnson was going to have a huge game in that Oregon game. Now, the question is, are they going to be able to run against that Texas 3-4? If you had to pick, and I would imagine if Texas had to pick, they would rather get beat by Penix's arm than to get beat by Dylan Johnson, as we saw in that Oregon game. Even though it was close and Oregon made a run at him, I will say that the truth probably still remains as is. Not wanting to get beat by Michael Penix Jr. But with that being said, let's get into the breakdown. We all know about Michael Penix. We all know about Quinn Ewers. We know about Rome Odunze, who in my opinion is the guy in this game. He's the guy that is going to be the difference between both teams. Texas is going to not be able to slow him down. I don't see them slowing. I didn't, at the end of the day, they're not going to be able to slow him down. I think Rome Odunze is going to get big. I do think Dylan Johnson's going to be a key figure too. I think Texas keeps it close, but I think what happens is the same thing that happens to Oregon. Texas wants to run high tempo. The only difference is Oregon has a lot smaller defenders than Texas does. I do think that makes a difference in the run game. However, I don't think Dylan Johnson's going to run for almost 150 yards as he did against Oregon. I think he's going to run somewhere around 100, but he changes the course of the game. And I think that's going to be the difference between why I feel Washington has a different move here. And I think they have a different take in this game, and as far as what he brings to the table. And of course, Rome Odunze is still trying to make that NFL bid and show everybody why he should have been the Biletnikoff Award winner. I think that's what happens. I think it makes a huge difference in this game. I think when they try to run the football, I think what ultimately happens is Odunze is able to get it open downfield. I think he slowed down in the first part of the game, but I think ultimately at the end of the game, later on in the game, I think Odunze is going to make plays just like he did in that Oregon game. And you might even see a couple of receptions by Polk. It's going to be Polk or Jalen McMillan that opens things up. But Odunze is going to do exactly what he did against Oregon the first time. I think Texas is going to try to stop him, but I think they're going to be so worried about what went down in that Oregon game that they're going to focus so solely on Dylan Johnson that they're going to somewhat kind of get lulled asleep, and that's what's going to happen. I think Quinn Ewers has a good game. I don't think Brooks goes mad crazy. Now, I will say this. If Brooks does go mad crazy, that's trouble for the Huskies. Big trouble. Because Quinn Ewers can go play action, and he throws one of the best deep. He throws a better deep ball than Jalen Milroe. And he's on par with Michael Penix. But now it's time for my decision on this game. I don't think this is a blowout. I think this is a close game. I even think Texas surprises me early on in this game. I think Brooks has a pretty good game, not a great game. I think Quinn Ewers has a good game. It's going to be two gunslingers. It's going to be a gunslinger type game. But I think Washington's running game is going to make enough plays to win this game and get Odunze in the end zone at least once. And as for this game as a whole, I think Washington proves to the world why they should have been the number 1 seed. And I think they win this game by 3 points. And Texas gives them a run, but I think Texas makes a late turnover, or they make a huge mistake, whether it's in coverage, and it ends up giving Washington an opportunity to win the game, and they do. So with that being said, you guys, I'm going with Washington. Now, let us look over at the Facebook page and find out what you guys said about the predictions in this game. Here we go. Here we go. Thank you guys so much for the votes. It's really awesome when you guys do this. We have 30% of you saying that Texas is going to advance to the national title game, whereas 15% are going to say that the Huskies are going to advance to the national title. So once again, we've got a Alabama-Texas national title game. Now, a gentleman by the name of Marcus said Washington Huskies the new TCU come Monday.
Bruh.
What a dumbass!
Those sound like bulletin board material. You do know TCU beat Michigan.
What a dumbass!
Just saying. So I would like to know what your add to that is, or what you're trying to say. But as far as the rest of it goes, let's look here and wrap this up. Go to the Facebook page and let us know what you think. But until the next time, same Gap channel, same Gap platform.